So, I'm bringing animated videos back to the channel, maybe as a permanent fixture for the foreseeable future, we'll see, but I'd love for you guys to let me know down in the comment section below, out of the next 3 figures I'm about to show, who is the one you want to see a review of next. So we have here the animated Voyager Optimus Prime, there's also this big guy which is the Voyager class Lugnut, or my personal favourite, Deluxe class Oil Slick, which is sick. So all 3 of them eventually will be reviewed, but I'd love to know who out of the 3 you guys would like to see the most. But until then, let's crack on with today's video, which, to be fair, is a pretty banger as it is. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we're going to be taking a throwback look at the Transformers animated Deluxe class Samurai Prowl. Now, first of all, I've got to say a massive sorry for not putting any of these animated videos out throughout the month of February and pretty much the majority of March. I've been super busy with Legacy, Studio Series, third party, etc. But I'm going to try my absolute hardest to put maybe 1 or 2 reviews out each month until the year is out. So let me know down in the comment section below what Transformers animated figure you guys would like to see next, and I'm going to be making up for lost time as we're going to be checking out not 1 but 2 versions of animated Prowl, that being the original and the Samurai repaint / retool, which are just absolutely insane. I don't think I've been this excited to kind of recollect some older figures as I have been here for Prowl, because pretty much all of the images that I was seeing online, this thing looked incredible and it definitely lived up to the hype when I got them in hand. So first of all, we're going to focus here on the Samurai Prowl, because this thing is literal god tier and I have no idea why no third party company have picked these up, reissued them, or upscaled them into masterpiece, as there is so much untapped potential with these figures. I mean, look at the bike mode, the amount of detail and the paint and the articulation, the engineering that Hasbro used to put into these guys way back in the day is just phenomenal. I mean, the bike mode of this thing looks like it has literally jumped out of the screen from the animated series. The detail is just on point, and unlike the Legacy version, no ugly robot mode jumbled junk at the back. This thing is just sleek, clean, ninja-like.
It's the Ninja Bot,
As he was in the show, and in the case of this one, he comes with the sidecar. I mean, a bike automatically becomes 10 times more badass when you whack any kind of sidecar onto it. So as you guys can see, this thing looks wicked. This is a part of the armor and it rolls. It actually does roll with the figure, which I thought was nutty. And I imagine you could maybe fit a very small Deluxe, maybe your core class, in this seated area. So yeah, that is just wicked looking. Now, these 2 were basically retools of one another, so this was the original version. For the most part, the Samurai Prowl is pretty much the same as this one, besides a few mold differences. So you can see the longer nose cone for the front of the bike. I think the windscreen was a little bigger, and this one also had a few additional tabs to kind of help aid the whole Samurai armor gimmick, and unfortunately lost the feature of the opening shuriken stars. But when we get into robot mode, I'm going to kind of show you how you can create the best, the ultimate version of Prowl based on, I think it was, what, 5 servos of Doom. Such a GOAT episode of Transformers animated. But in terms of a quick size comparison with another figure that we've already checked out, here we have him next to Lockdown, and once Prowl gets this armor, he kicks Lockdown's butt in that episode. It's one of my personal favorites. You know, upon rewatching the show, it's just so cool. But as you can see, Deluxe class really did have a whole other meaning back in 2009-2010. These things are meaty and weighty, and for another comparison, here we have him alongside the Legacy Prowl, which I'm going to be honest, in bike mode looks like straight up trash from this whole rear perspective when you compare it to the original version. So yeah, absolute phenomenal looking figure. Now we're going to jump into the transformation for Prowl. So first of all, you are going to want to remove the sidecar. We'll set this off to the side for now. Transformation, surprisingly pretty easy for such an incredible looking figure. So first up, you're just going to want to basically detach this, fold the leg down, do the same here for this side, and that's pretty much their transformation fully completed. You'll now want to take the arms, split these up, bring them up to the top, and then as far as all this goes, you're just going to want to rotate here at the waist. This piece here would come down, and then this would snap into place, the head would pop out, you'd collapse this panel in, you'd then take these forearm guards, lift these sections up, and then for some finishing touches, can you guys believe this is finished already, you'd take the handlebars, Transformers Legacy Prowl, I'm looking at you, and you'd fold them in, and there he was in his robot form. And Hasbro were serving in 2009-2010. You got to bear in mind, this was also the era of Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, where they gave us probably the best leader class of all time, that being being the 2009 Optimus Prime, but these figures truly were just an absolute dream come true. They were smoking back in the day. So we're going to jump straight into the comparisons. First up, we have the base Samurai Prowl alongside the original release. Now, there are a few differences, you know, they might not be as obvious to start off with, but the heads are different. The Samurai Prowl has a slightly slimmer head, a smaller crest, so that when the whole Samurai armor goes on top, it doesn't look out of proportion. And I also prefer the longer snout of the front of the bike because it helps to cover up the ball joint, which was pretty obvious here on the original version. Now, sadly, the hands weren't painted on this release, and he did have these massive tabs on the side to kind of help aid a few of the combining gimmicks. And probably the biggest difference between the two would be in regards to the weapons. So with the base original Samurai Prowl, if you were to remove his kind of shuriken wheel star cap things, they did kind of have an automorph gimmick where you could splay them out and it would create the ninja throwing stars as seen on the show. Whereas unfortunately here with this guy, because he comes with the sidecar, and this was a deluxe class, and back then I think deluxes was something like £10-12. I don't even know if they cost that much. It basically meant that they couldn't quite give us the engineering here for these shuriken stars. So whilst they are removable, they are fixed into place. Basically all of the gearing was taken out, they were kind of glued in, so you couldn't open them up, which is a shame. But the good thing is that if you own both of these guys, the throwing stars are identical in terms of scale, meaning that you could literally create the perfect version of Prowl. You could nick these off the original version and smack them on to the Samurai Prowl, which is definitely what I'm going to be doing because in my opinion, I just think in the grand scheme of things, Samurai Prowl is an absolute GOAT. But we're going to very quickly just give you guys a rundown of the details. I mean, insanely cool looking head. To be fair, I think the original head actually looks a little better, but I mean, come on, these figures are just so cool looking. He also had slightly smaller back wings, again, I think to help aid the kind of samurai armor feature, but overall so awesome. And they also fixed an issue on this guy. So with the original version, the knees couldn't bend quite to 90, which kind of sucked, especially considering how agile he was. But here with this one, they could bend way past 90, although I think it works a little better here on this side for some strange reason. Yeah, so basically this piece here was modified so it was smaller, didn't bump into the knee joint. It was just so cool. But unfortunately, both of them kind of had the same issue where they continuously want to fall backwards. At least that's the biggest issue I found here with this original version. So that kind of sucks. And Samurai Prowl never came with the throwing light bar thing that this version came with. Not quite sure why he even came with it. And also, because this was a deluxe and they were probably well exceeding the budget, he had the same coloured light bars on the back of the arms when in comparison here to this version. I did try and swap them out, but unfortunately they are different sizes, so it's not going to be possible unless you change the arms. And then if you change the arms, you're not going to have the tab to kind of add the samurai armor onto the side. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. But enough talking about the samurai armor, let's actually check it out. So here we have the sidecar. I believe in the show he got the helmet from Yokitron.
A helmet? What kind of helmet?
That's it.
Could be mistaken, but I'm pretty certain that was the backstory behind it. But first up, you're going to want to remove the wheel. We can then straighten this piece out, which, as you guys would guess, does become a piece of kind of his armory in this form. And this thing was nuts. I think if this guy came out today, undeniably it would be a Voyager. So in terms of the engineering, you'd pop open these panels here on the side. They were actually pretty stiff. Bring these sections here down. Do the same here for this side. You'd then split this piece and then take the helmet, lift this up. That's not supposed to pop off. Let's just pretend it didn't happen. And that is the Samurai Prowl armor. So what I loved the most about this was that it all stayed in one piece. It didn't parts form, you know, besides this piece being removable, but for the most part, it was one whole component, which I thought from an engineering perspective back in 2009, 2010 was sick. So let's actually armor him up. You're going to want to splay the arms out. You're going to want to take these back fins here, lift those up, and it does create two tiny little notches that these tabs here and here are going to slide into. Now, I'm not going to lie, it can definitely be a little fiddly. I don't even think I've truly mastered it, but you're just going to want to make sure that basically they get a grip of those tabs, just like that. And then what's going to happen is these shoulder pieces are going to come under the arm, so they don't go over the top, which, you know, is a little unconventional, but they go under the arm. These skirt pieces, you know, you just manipulate, and then as far as the helmet goes, you just bend all of those hinges to get it over the top. And wow, how insane is that? There we have Samurai Prowl, which is just such a GOAT figure. This guy is incredible. Sorry for the amount of gushing, but truly such a cool figure. I wish I was reviewing Transformers back when these guys come out. I mean, I was very young, so I probably wouldn't even know how to switch the camera on, but I would have just been an absolute love. But as far as this goes, you could peg it onto either of the arms. I think it looks a little cooler on this side, so this just slides in, and there you have Samurai Prowl. Awesome. And to be fair, despite these pieces, you know, kind of going on the underarm, it didn't really restrict articulation too much here out of the shoulders, which I thought was cool. And the skirt pieces were on many different hinge joints and ball joints. So again, you know, you had full range of motion there out of the hips. It was really just the head which was restricted. So as you can see, it does basically sheath over the top, which, you know, from certain angles, I think looks pretty convincing, but you unfortunately can't really rotate the head because this is attached to this kind of appendage at the back. But in terms of a display, I mean, he looks so freaking cool. And considering he throws it down like nobody's business with Lockdown in the show, here is animated Lockdown, which is massive. Deluxe Claws really did just have a whole other meaning way back in 2009, 2010, because this thing is already, I'd say, pushing Voyager by today's standards, and you can just see the difference in size between Lockdown and Prowl. So really it's quite nutty. This guy is the same size as, I want to say, some modern day leaders, maybe the same size as the new Rise of the Beast Scourge, maybe even the Kingdom Galvatron without any DNA design upgrade pieces. Kind of guesstimating, but I think he's about that size. So yeah, I mean, that was pretty much my throwback review for the animated Samurai Prowl, and not forgetting the original version. Both astonishing figures. I mean, I think out of all of the animated look back reviews I've done so far, yeah, these are going to be a tough cookie to crack because these ones are nuts. They are so good. Definitely the best that I've taken a look at. And, you know, if you are lucky enough to find either of these, then I would definitely jump on them, because even this version, the standalone release, is insane. But if you are given the choice between the two, Samurai Prowl, I think, takes the cake, because not only do you get kind of the base version of Prowl, but you get the sidecar and this whole armor, which I just think is nuts. And unfortunately, yeah, you don't get the proper working shurikens, but I don't think the original animated Prowl goes for too much on the aftermarket. So maybe you can pick one up cheap, you know, just nick the weapons off it and smack it on this guy, and you'd have literally a god tier version of animated Prowl. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this kind of throwback, you know, this look back. Let me know what other animated characters you guys would like to see on the channel next, and I thank you all so much for checking some of these older figures out. Until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.